Bueno, estamos aquí en vivo desde el Comercio con Sasha Grey. A partir de este momento pueden empezar a enviar sus preguntas. Welcome, Sasha.
Thank you.
Welcome
Gracias.
to Lima. Welcome to el Comercio.
Thank you.
So, you are here in Lima to present as a DJ. Your specialty is house music, right? So, when you decided to look for your own sound in music, why did you choose house music?
Let's see. I started DJing 6 years ago,
Es DJ hace 6 años.
and in the beginning, a lot of that was
Y
purely
empezó
based off of the interest of me and
creyendo
my
en ella.
past in adult films. But I was also writing about music a lot online and sharing the things that I liked with
Creyendo en
other
su
people.
pasado. En cosas que
And so, I guess now
y ahora
comes the time where I
Es un
wanted to
tiempo en
pick a
el que
focus
se
instead
enfoca.
of being all over the place and playing open format in clubs and festivals.
en fiestas, en clubs.
And it's still difficult because
Y es muy
my
difícil
background
porque
in music has been more experimental
su música es un poco más experimental.
as a performer and as a writer.
Y
And
su
so
presentación
in DJing, it's much different from the things that I've created.
y la forma de ser DJ es muy diferente de la forma como creas.
And so I decided, okay, I want to try and at least have two things that I focus on when I play my live shows, and that's either
Y trata de hacer
more big
diferentes cosas
room,
para enfocar en sus shows, lo que hace.
EDM, or house. And so I think here in Lima it will be more big room, more for the
Y en
younger
Lima
crowds, but that's cool. It'll be
Va
fun.
para grupos más jóvenes.
Well, certainly it's different from the music you made with HL Cine. It was
Yeah.
much more experimental, right?
Yeah.
You left that group on 2013, right? Why?
Personal reasons. Personal reasons, and
Personas personales.
And since then, I just released an album with Death in Vegas called Transmission. So again, it's much different from the things that I DJ live.
La vida como DJ son diferentes.
Well,
So I guess it's about finding a balance between like very experimental music, which is very artistically fulfilling for me, and then the live stuff, which is I think more for the fans. Does that make sense?
well, okay, let's go to speak about literature. You already revealed that you finished writing the sequel to the Juliet Society.
Finally,
It's called Janice's Camera, right?
the Janus Chamber.
The
The
Janice-
Janice Chamber.
Yes.
Okay. So, I wanted to ask you, what writers have influenced you the most? I recall you are a great fan of Sartre, for example.
Yes, but for the Juliet Society,
Lo primero de
my
de
influence
Society
came more from de Sade. Obviously, it's a direct reference. Voltaire's Candide, Angela Carter's The Sadian Woman, and so in starting the process with the Juliet Society, I wanted to sort of pay homage to classic erotica, which isn't what we know erotica to be today, and it's very sexual, but it's also a reflection on society. You know, 120 Days of Sodom, you could say that de Sade helped spark the revolution in France. There's so many things that happen, and I'm not trying to necessarily spark a political revolution, but you know, something in people's hearts and souls for sure.
That book is also like you saying I love cinema. It has lots of references to film industry, lots of Buñuel, lots of Kubrick. Yeah? So I was thinking, you have also directed some shorts in your times. Have you ever thought of going into directing movies?
No, I never directed any shorts. Written, yes, but not directed. No, I don't know if I'm there yet. I think there's very few people, few filmmakers that I can say, whoa. I think there's very few filmmakers that are alive today that I could say remind me or give me the same passion that some of my favorite filmmakers from the past have given me. And I don't know if I could create that same world and that same tone and have my own sense as a filmmaker. I don't know if I have that. I don't know if I want that responsibility either.
Okay, so speaking about filmmaking, you have been an actress now in commercial movies. How's the difference? Some years ago you were speaking about how in Hollywood females are earning less money than actors, while in porn industry actors earn less than actresses. So how have this change worked on you? How have you felt this change in the attitude from the industry to you as an actress?
Well, I guess I could say that I'm still working to get respect and still working to get more diverse roles. So I don't have the luxury of saying I don't get paid enough because right now I just want to continue proving myself, and I'm happy, to work for a pizza if it's a project that I really believe in. You know what I mean? So I can't really say I fit in this, top 10, 20 pool of actresses who are great that have that luxury of saying, I should be getting paid this much. There's a lot of issues that aren't just about money in the industry. I mean, let's talk about creativity. That's also lacking.
Speaking of porn industry, I wanted to make a question. Some people think that you created a whole new chapter in porn history, in recent porn history, as you want to think about it. So, trying to think in the future, what do you think will be your legacy? Like, what do you think you'll leave behind for the porn industry?
I was only in it for 3 years, but
But you made a lot in 3 years.
Yeah, and so sometimes it's hard for me to have perspective from the outside because I was in it. And now it's an industry that's pretty much almost dead. The only way it functions is because of new content. Because of the internet. So it's changed drastically since I started and left in 2009. And so what do I think I've left behind? Hopefully inspiration for younger people that decide to choose that as their career path, and a different sense of being and respect for the industry as well.
Okay, so 2 more questions and then I think we'll go to the public questions. I wanted to ask you if have you ever thought of going back into making books such as New Sex? Because I think that was a very interesting book as an art book. Have you ever thought about going back to that?
I love photography. And I recently had a very respected and talented cinematographer say something to me, which was, if you're going to do something, you have to dedicate all of your time to it. And there's a point to that. Especially because we live in such a disposable society. We're consuming and disposing at such a fast rate, faster than ever before. And that book was very much the opposite of the advice he gave me. But I really enjoyed doing it. But now we have all of these different social media apps where at the time of making that book, we weren't using social media the way that we are now. And so I think, yes, I would like to continue with photography, and I do shoot a lot of photos in my downtime. But it would be a completely different format. It wouldn't be about me, I guess you could say.
Would be both colors. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you, speaking of legacy, some people think that there are some actresses that are like continuing in the path you opened. What are your thoughts on actresses such as Valentina Nappi or Riley Wright?
I've met Valentina. She's really a cool person.
Conocí a Valentina,
I
es
like
una persona
her.
muy
I like the way she
divertida.
thinks. I've never met Riley, so I can't say. But I don't really follow
Pero sí,
the news or industry in that way, so I
Las
can't
nuevas-
say anything good or bad other than that. I don't follow the industry that closely because I'm not in it, so it's kind of strange to be a fan when you know so much about something.
And you know the people, maybe. I have a couple questions here. Tenemos un par de preguntas. First one,
la primera es
I'll say it first in Spanish and in English.
Okay.
¿Qué tanto ha cambiado el proceso de DJ en los últimos 10 años? How much has the DJ process changed in the last 10 years?
Wow, technology has done a lot. When I
la tecnología.
I first
es-
started 6 years ago,
Empecé hace
and
6 años.
during that period I had a lot of bands and agents
Escuchando
for different
bandas.
musicians come to me and say, oh, would you like to tour with this band as their opening DJ? And so I wrote to some of my friends who were musicians and DJs, and I said, oh, what do I bring all my vinyl, how do I do this? And they said, no, you don't touch your vinyl, leave your vinyl at home. And
Usando vinilos.
so I think the biggest thing is that the technology has allowed for people to learn the craft much faster because it's not about the ear anymore, it's very visual. Well, hopefully it is about the ear, but not for everyone.
Okay, next question, first in Spanish. ¿Harías alguna mezcla con música peruana? Would you make any remix or mix with Peruvian music?
I love Latin music, so I've thought about that a lot. I'd like to start a sort of a Latin and funk fusion night in LA. It's something I've thought about a lot. We have a huge Latino community, so I think it could work well. But yeah, I think one way of approaching that is by doing remixes because it makes the music more accessible for people who aren't so familiar with it.
Well, that's all we have here. So I think that's all
Cool.
for us.
All right.
So thanks a lot, Sasha.
Yeah, thank you.
Muchas gracias por tu tiempo. And very good luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.